Welcome into another edition of Hit 'em High, presented by Kingsmark Cabinets, alongside the Eagle great Seth Joyner with Everett Terry. I'm Scott Seidenberg, and a special guest in today's episode, Mr. Hollis Thomas himself is in the flesh. A reminder to share this episode wherever you can on Facebook, all social media platforms, because sharing is caring, and for every share we will donate to Big Brothers Big Sisters. This is the final show for us to donate for Big Brothers Big Sisters, so be sure to share this video. And remember, they're having their Sixers viewing party tonight at Conchi Brewing in Bridgeport. It's free with free entry, and 20% of all proceeds, all the beverage and food, goes to Big Brothers Big Sisters. So come check us out, live broadcast at TTP, so you're going to want to enjoy that. Guys, on a wet and windy day in Orchard Park, the Eagles got the job done, and that's all that matters. They got the job done.
I tell you, the question now is, can they back it up? Can they find their rhythm and find their footing and get to a place, where they can take what they did yesterday and parlay it into the rest of the season? I tell people all the time, when a train jumps off its tracks, it doesn't just jump. It doesn't jump totally off its tracks, all at once. Right. Usually what happens is one wheel falls off, then another wheel falls off, then the other two fall off, and now it's off its tracks. Yeah. Well, I won't look at yesterday as a situation where the Eagles are totally back on track. I will say they got one wheel back on the track right now. Now it's up to them to take what they did last week and parlay it in the next week and get another wheel on. Let's get into the bye week and move on from there. The Buffalo Bills were, a godsend at the right time. I expected for the Philadelphia Eagles to play with the type of enthusiasm they played with yesterday against the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah. That's what just really upset me about that game, is that they didn't play with a lot of enthusiasm and they didn't play with a lot of urgency. Yesterday you could see it, you could feel it. From all the talk that was going on off the field and all the accusations that were going on, and them being in position, being 3-4 and realizing if they went 3-5, the likelihood of them being able to keep abreast one game behind the Cowboys was darn near impossible. But a lot of good things happened yesterday. And we'll get into them. I like what I saw from the play calling standpoint from Doug Peterson. And I've been critical of Jim Schwartz. I even like some of the things that I saw out of him yesterday, some of the changes that he made.
Yeah, it's what you said. I was looking at you on some show, and you said something that still resonates to me. When you said, if you can't get up for the damn Cowboys, what the hell are you doing in Philly? Yeah. And that's the thing. I didn't see any passion. I was down to both. I've been to both of the games. I traveled with Green Legion. But we were at both of the games, and at the Cowboy game, it just let the wind out of everybody's sail. Yeah. It's like we had people leaving at the third quarter. Yeah. It's like it was real bad. But this week, I think they harnessed it, and I think the thing that also helped as well is Orlando Scandrick. He's a bum. I don't know why he was on the team, but that's my point blank. Him going
Cowboy
out,
spy.
Yeah, well, he
infiltrator.
Yeah, he came, but then he came. He went on TV and said all that stuff like he knows what it means to be a champion. I don't know if I was missing something. Has he won a title?
When were you champion?
Well, when do you know anything about a Super Bowl hangover? Because you never had one. You never even had a Super Bowl headache. So I was like, it was great to see them put everything together and say, you know what, it's our time. But it's just like you said, they need to build off of this and not just let it be a flash in the pan.
And I will say this before you go, Everett. As far as the Scandrick situation is concerned, and even as far as some of the things that you heard out of players on the team, the alleged, Alshon incident, the things that came out of Lane's mouth last week. I've been around long enough to know that not every rumor is 100% true, but not every rumor is 100% false either. So there are some things there that even though people are mad at Orlando Scandrick, there's some things that he said that there are some truths too. Now it was up to the Eagles to figure out how to fix those things and then put all that stuff behind them. I'm not one that really believes in distractions. I just think that people use distractions as an excuse, as an scapegoat. When they don't accomplish the things that they want to accomplish, then they want to talk about distractions. I got 3.5 hours to play a football game. I'm doing what I'm passionate about, what I love to do. How the hell I'm gonna be distracted when somebody trying to take my damn head
I'm here to
off?
destroy
I don't buy
you.
that.
I'm here to destroy you. I'm here to make your life miserable for 3 hours.
E.T.,
Well,
you got this.
actually 2.
Well,
2.
there's something on your mind, man. Something's bothering you. I see this look on your face, and I'm like, you're about to throw some cold water on us.
Listen, I understand that the Eagles won the game yesterday, and I get it. Everybody's excited. Oh, they're back. They might make the playoffs. Listen, the Buffalo Bills beat 0 playoff teams. The only team they competitively played against were the New England Patriots. That's it, and they didn't win that game. So the Eagles beating a team that hasn't beaten a single playoff team doesn't say anything to me. What I will say is this. Orlando Scandrick should get a pay increase from the Eagles because that was the only motivating factor that I saw that was different from last week to this week. You saw a difference in play calling. You saw a difference in coaching. You saw a difference in wrinkles in the offense. You saw a difference in distribution. You saw Dallas Goedert on the field more with Zach Ertz in that 2 tight end set than you've seen ever. Was all of that because of Orlando Scandrick? No, but I think when you call out the coach, the GM, half the roster, and Malcolm Jenkins, you're going to get some feedback.
Who's your favorite team?
Listen, my favorite team is not relevant to this conversation.
That's all I want to know.
Listen.
It's like, so for me listening to you, it's kind of like listening to Orlando Scandrick talk about championship fortitude. I'm just saying. It's like, I was happy to see the guys get back on the right track. I felt like the offensive line has been doing a decent job all year. Everybody's just talking about something. Carson's getting hit. Well, Carson's getting hit because he's holding the damn ball.
We agree.
Yes, and I don't like the way that they've been deploying our running backs. You keep running the young buck. When the young buck breaks to the outside, you sit his happy self down next to you and show him what Howard does when he hits the gap. He's learning, but I feel like as a teammate, I would be pissed, especially in the camp. Go ahead.
Hollis, I said that at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I said that the feature back needs to be Jordan Howard.
Yep.
And then you bring in Miles Sanders as a change of pace.
Right.
Or in passing situations, you know, where you want to get him out into routes.
Space,
I understand that. I like what they did yesterday and having them both on the field.
Yeah.
And they've got to get a little more creative in figuring out ways to do that. Listen, to your point, Everett, it's like, listen, football is a game of manhoods. When I line up against you, it's my manhood against your manhood. And what happened last week is the manhood of every player on that team, the manhood of the GM, the head coach, the defensive coordinator. Everybody got called out last week. You only got 1 or 2 things that you're going to do, okay? You either going to tuck tail between your legs and run it high,
Get down
or
the
you going to stand and face the music, man. And the Eagles were in a position, you talk about all the other ancillary things. The truth of the matter is, if they got any kind of designs on winning the NFC East, they had to win that game yesterday.
We agree.
Okay?
And how do you impose your will on another team? Run the football.
Yes.
218 rushing yards yesterday, the most since Doug Peterson took over this team, the most for the Eagles since 2014 in a game.
Let me give you a couple of stats on the running game yesterday, you know, because I tallied this, okay? If you just Howard and Sanders alone, okay, they had 36 runs, okay, 3 touchdowns, 156 yards, 4.3 yards a carry. Okay, I mean those numbers are phenomenal.
Correct.
Okay, and I knew when Doug stepped to the podium last night, I turned to Barrett and I said, you know what he's going to say? He's going to say the conditions dictate.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you look at the 2 games where you were most successful offensively, yesterday and in Green Bay, what did you do? You ran the football, okay? So to get away from that and talk about the conditions had nothing to do with it, okay? I don't care if it was 75 degrees, sunny, with rainbows over New Era Stadium yesterday, okay? You were going to be able to win that game with this formula. And for all of those football gurus out there to keep talking about, oh, you pass the ball, and you run late, BS. You want to know why? Because the tenets of football don't change no matter how much the analytics and the gurus try to change it. When you get to the end of the season, you get to the playoffs, or if you're fortunate enough to get into the playoffs, it's going to be because you stopped the run and because you ran the ball. Plain and simple.
Miles, you were there.
Oh, yeah, I was there.
How windy was it?
It was about like 45, 50 miles per hour. Dude, I woke up in the hotel and I heard something whistling. And I was like, what the? I thought I woke up in a horror movie. It was the wind outside blowing. It was whistling throughout the hotel. But it was like, to piggyback off what you were saying, There was only one thing that pissed me off with Doug. We got down, that first drive, we run the ball, and all of a sudden he wants to get cute and pitch the ball to Nelson, drop back. I was like, dude, I understand wanting to get the kid in the game, but this is not the time. It's time to impose your will, show some testicle fortitude, and kick somebody's butt.
I like that, testicle fortitude.
Yeah, E.T., we got a comment coming in for you on Facebook, and be sure to comment and ask your questions because we will read them live on the show, like Danny Shaver Jr., who writes in, hey, E.T., the Bills do have the third-ranked defense in the NFL, right? And the Eagles did put up 218 rushing yards on that third-ranked defense, right?
Okay. When you're beating brothers of the poor and sisters of the poor, you should have the third-ranked
But
defense.
you should know about the poor because you're a Dolphins fan.
I tell you what, though. You know, when you look at the NFL, I've said it before. There's 1,696 players in the NFL, excluding the 10 guys on each team that's on the practice squad.
Right.
Okay. The truth of the matter is, there are great football players everywhere, and if you're on a roster, that means that you can play football.
Right.
Now, how the organization formulates a team, and how sorry a coaching staff puts that team together, you can't do anything about that.
Right.
Everybody keeps complaining about the New England Patriots. Oh, they got the weakest. You know what? That's not their fault that the Jets, the Bills, and the Dolphins suck.
Yeah.
That ain't their problem.
Big time.
Get better, do better, draft better, coach better, scout better, do everything better. The truth of the matter is, listen, this team was 5-1. Okay, when you beat a team in the NFL, it's already hard enough.
Right.
I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. It's hard enough. Now you got tiers of teams. Yeah. They haven't really beat a whole lot of winning teams, but the Eagles can't care about that because they were the medicine for what ailed them. And at the right time, they got the right shot that cured them. And hopefully, moving forward, that's a stepping stone that they can use to move forward.
Keep that same energy the next 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
The next 2 games y'all play, keep this same.
We got the Bears.
Even the
And
next
then you got the Patriots, which is a loss.
We got the Bears. We got the Bears.
Calm down.
We got the Bears, and then we rest.
Right.
Yeah.
See, you
Okay.
got
Rest? I don't like Doug Peterson against Bill Belichick.
You
I
gotta
don't
get-
like him.
but
Worry
you
about
gotta-
that when you get there.
But he got
Their defense is playing at a different level.
Will you pull up a schedule for him? The next 2 weeks, the next 2 games are
We pull up
The
schedule.
Bears?
The Bears,
And a bye week.
bye week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next
It's
2
the
games.
beginning of a 3-game homestand, too, which is very important. You can't discredit that for the Eagles, okay? 3 games at home at the Link. The crowd's going to be fired up because you're 4-4. And what do we talk about all the time when we break down the NFL schedule? You break it down into quarters, right?
Yeah.
The Eagles just got through the second quarter with a victory.
Yeah.
Now they begin the second half, and there's a little less pressure on each of these games in the second half. If they would have lost yesterday, all of a sudden you're staring in the face of a second half of the season, the final 2 quarters, where you really can't afford to go 2-2.
Right.
You have to go 3-1, if not 4-0 in a quarter, in order to save your season. The pressure's off of them now a little bit. They have the Bears coming into the Link. You have the bye week, and then you take on the Patriots, who, yes, best defense in the league. If their offense never played a snap, they'd be 5-1. They'd still have more wins than the Jets and the Dolphins. So the Patriots defense is just out of this world. But we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks from now. We'll see what the weather is in a couple of weeks from now.
Right.
There's so many factors. We can't talk about that game right now.
Right.
What we
see
can
what the
react to,
injury
exactly.
injury situation
What we
is.
can react to right now is the fact that the Eagles are coming off a victory. We talk about their running game, but Hollis defensively, 253 yards allowed. That is the least for
Yes.
Buffalo since
I like it.
October of last season.
Well, the thing that I was enjoying the guys up front. At first, I wasn't enjoying it because the guys didn't have rush lane integrity. You know what that is, don't you? Guys getting out of the damn lane, and you have a running quarterback. Quit being selfish. Let everybody get to the party. And then once they start doing that, they start hitting the quarterback, making a fumble. You don't know about that because your quarterback fumbles all the time. But, the defensive front took over the game. Who is y'all quarterback? Oh yeah, Josh Rosen. He sucks. And Fitzpatrick too. He's a career backup. But I digress. With the defensive line, they pretty much took over that game, and I was proud of those guys. I really like the fact that they brought the big bodies in there. Nothing against my boy Hakeem Spence, but when we was playing against Dallas, we was getting mashed in the middle. When Fletcher Cox wasn't in there, it was like textbook rub scoop blocks. They was all up in the linebacker face. You probably would have been pissed the entire game.
I said it yesterday in pregame, and I'll continue to preach it. You've seen BG down at defensive tackle a lot more.
Right.
And I think that's a move that they need to make.
Right.
Josh Sweat and Deshaun Hall
Right.
needs to get more
Yeah.
reps.
Hall, especially Hall.
And I think that, because listen, most of the time, most of the time a defensive tackle is a guy, he's either a run stopper or he's a pass rusher.
Correct.
It's very rare that you find a guy that can play a 3 technique or a 2 technique who can stop the run, get off a double team, split double teams, but in obvious passing situations, they got movement that can move. A guy like BG can do that. Now, would it be a liability in the running game? Absolutely. But when you got smaller defensive tackles, you just don't leave them stationary. You slant them in a gap, have him and the linebacker switch gaps, because that's the kind of stuff that screws up blocking scheme. But I think they're a better football team with him down at the other tackle than they are with him at defensive end.
I was going to say, when you think of him flip-flopping and having rush, he's 350, 6'5", being in there just the nose, just destroying him. And when you said that, all I can think about is when they traded me to New Orleans, I strictly played nose guard. They had Brian Young flip-flopping, and like on spike stunts, you as a defense tackle, you get to run around and stuff. But when you got that smaller guy in there, that faster guy, it poses a problem especially to the guards, because they get tired once I'm over there and I see them chasing them, and I'm delivering power now.
You want to know why they guards? Because they ain't got no feet. That's why they guards. I mean, if they had any feet, they'd be out in the tackle spot, right?
True,
They're inside because they have no feet. So when you get a guy, I mean, that's why Fletcher, when he's one-on-one, he's such a handful, because he's got movement. And they're on that guy. It's like when you're a defensive end, that tackle is waiting on you. So you got to have some juice with you.
You do.
But at defensive tackle, I mean, the ball is snapped and you right on that guy right now. So any kind of move that you can get, you can put on him to make him lean one way and you can come back the other. A guy like BG, in my opinion, I think our defense would be so much better against the run and the pass if they just went ahead and moved him to tackle. That's why everybody got healthy.
I think move him down there sometime as a changeup. Because sometimes you want him. I love him on the edge when he's coming upfield. Because sometimes you get those young guys in there and they don't. They can't get right.
Listen, I be yelling at him too because he loses contain a lot.
Exactly.
We talk about it all the time on play away. Defensive end, you're supposed to take one step, look and see what's coming. When they see play away, they go shooting down the line of scrimmage, and I'm like, that's not even your play to make, man.
What are you doing? Why are you passing me? It's a bootleg. Elephants on parade.
What impressed me is that after the Singletary touchdown, the final 6 possessions for the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, 3 of 13 for just 9 yards. How much of that was on the pressure? How much of that was on the secondary, who actually had a decent game yesterday, sans a couple of plays? I thought they actually played well, even though Rasul Douglas not on the field. I guess that's that's where it's going now. But
part of it is, when your quarterback leads you in rushing with 8 carries for 45 yards, that's part of your problem. Okay, in order for Buffalo to be successful offensively, they've got to run the ball. Frank Gore and Singletary, they've got to get going, and they couldn't get going yesterday. The defense stepped up. Listen, between the two of them, what is that? They had 12 carries for 53 yards. I mean, that's not a lot of rushing yards, and that doesn't sell the defense on the fact that, hey, you know what? We're running the ball so well that when we go play action pass, we're gonna get you to bite on it. It don't work that way.
Well, they know. The thing too is they know that's why I was talking about the rush lane integrity. So they know that when he drops back, he's probably gonna run because he's scared to throw. Because the game against New England, he was their liability. He threw a lot of picks. The defense stayed in the game. When they put Matt Barkley in, I don't know what the hell I'm saying this for, he actually was a lot better than him. He kept him in the game. Yeah, I mean, he kept him in the game. And I don't think Josh Allen is the answer. We got another quarterback coming up this week. It's the same way. I didn't like either one of those guys coming out of college. Nope. So it's like when you see their body of work in college, it wasn't enough for me. Especially if you're the starting quarterback at a small school. And you don't even have your record's not even 500.
Yeah, doesn't check off the Bill Parcells quarterback box.
When you go get a guy that you have to develop like that, you damn sure better be sure that you got a quarterback whisperer. You better have a guy who can coach him up.
Right.
One thing Andy's been able to do, he's been able to take multiple quarterbacks and transform them. Okay, not everybody can do that. Not everyone has that staff, has that guy in the building that they can say, okay, here's your guy, develop him. So when you move up to take a Mitchell Trubisky, when you take a shot on a Josh Allen, This ain't the Big Sky Conference. This is the NFL.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So if that's the case, if you're gonna play him, you better make sure you got somebody that can develop him.
Here's a comment coming in, and ET, you'll appreciate this one. Dex Ryan says the Eagles need to drop that jet sweep play to Nelson ASAP.
Hey,
that's what I'm
we can
talking
always talk about Nelson on this show. Can't we, Seth? Let's talk about Nelson and how good he's been looking.
First time he ran it, it worked. You can't keep going back to the well.
Yes, you can. That's a once-in-a-lifetime play. But continue to kill him.
Hey, listen, I like killing him. I mean, look, listen, what did he do? 4 catches, 7 yards? Okay. I mean, he was a non-factor in the game. He didn't help him, he didn't hurt him. That's better than him dropping touchdown passes.
Did y'all lose y'all bye week? Did y'all lose y'all bye week too?
Hey,
Oh,
Hollis,
sorry.
we're not going to keep going.
I am going to dig you. I am
So
going
they
to
lost on their bye
They
week?
lost on their bye week. I'm going to dig in your brain every time I get a chance.
Listen, every week, guys, we give you our Kings Mark keys to the game, and each week you can chime in and discuss with us if you just hit us up on the Kings Mark social pages, Kings Mark Cabinets, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can join the conversation, give us your Kings Mark keys to the game. Coming up in just a bit, we're going to give you our Kings Mark keys to a victory over the Chicago Bears coming up next week. But Hollis, this is my favorite part of the show. I'm sure you're going to love this as well. We head to the whiteboard where Seth's going to break down a certain aspect of the game, and I think we're going to be talking about that Miles Sanders touchdown run.
Cool.
Yes, we are. We're going to break it down. One of the things that I enjoyed yesterday is Doug Peterson finally showed, some ingenuity and some creativity, to his play calling. Although we ran a lot of 12 personnel, yesterday Miles Sanders' long run came out of 21 personnel. That's 2 backs and 1 tight end. The beautiful thing about this is the minute that I saw it, I said, my gosh, that's nothing more than a lead play out of split backs, okay? They split Zach Ertz out here. They've got Nelson Aguilar, Alshon Jeffrey out here and Nelson Aguilar here. And all they're going to run is a simple lead. And you got to give Jordan Howard a lot of credit because I don't think there's been many times when that guy's been asked to be the lead blocker. But look at the beauty of this play, okay? You got Lane blocking this guy out here, okay? You got Brandon Brooks hooking his guy here. You got this guy turning in, this guy blocking out. Well, actually, he got here on him, okay? And then Jason Kelsey did a good job of getting up and shielding that Mike linebacker on the backside. Now, you had Jordan Howard lead up in the hole and actually blast this outside linebacker, which was out here. Blasted him right there, okay? Miles Sanders, a little stutter step. Carson Wentz hands him the ball right here, and now he's off to the races. Now, the key to this play is that the safety was trying to get over top here, so he kind of took himself out of the play. This safety's got to realize, okay, I got contained, okay? My will linebacker is going to play things the proper way. He's going to try to turn it back to the Mike linebacker, but 9 times out of 10, this guy, his force is out here. So he stepped up here. When he stepped up here, Miles was out the gate, and it was a foot race. And the thing that I love about Miles is that when he gets into the open field, you're not catching him. You are not catching him. There are many, many times where you see running backs break out and these DBs go and get him. I mean, he turned on the afterburners, and it was a wrap. Back to you guys. Oh, well, you got it.
I had a question. What if they got corner force?
If they what?
Yeah, the corner force, and the other guys
Right here?
Yeah.
Well, what he
You
did
think-
was,
you-
you can see that they're
Yeah.
in single high safety.
Yeah.
So in single high safety, that guy's not going to be the force.
Right.
He's really the force, and that's what made the play work. This guy right here ran a speed out. He jumped on it. By the
Okay.
time he figured out what was going on, he was off to the races.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
I think the Eagles are finally figuring out how to utilize both backs in this offense, right? Whether it's start with Howard and then use Sanders as a change of pace. And I know that Sanders had the shoulder, which is going to be fine. He expects to play next week, but he left the game in the second half, right? And
Right.
that led to some opportunities for Boston Scott. ET, am I crazy to think that maybe Boston Scott needs to touch the ball a little bit more?
No, Boston Scott reminds me of this year's Corey Clement. He's a guy who's playing focused, determined football. He runs angry, he runs aggressive, and he has a second-tier burst that you see when he gets the ball. So if there's a lone bright spot in the running game outside of what you've seen from Sanders and Jordan Howard, it's the fact that they have this gem that they haven't really given a lot of opportunity to, but now he's getting some touches and he's making the most of it. What you hope is that the Eagles continue to lead with the run first Don't ask Carson to drop back and throw 40, 50 times a game,
Right.
and even find plays to get Scott some touches, because I think that using him with that change of pace, even to Sanders with his speed and the way that he runs, gives them another option that's there. I mean, the Eagles had the 3-back system when they had Clement a few years ago with Blunt, Ajayi, and then Clement got his touches. You can utilize the same thing and use Scott as that guy, because I don't know if Clement's even playing any football this year.
Well, he's on IR.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I like about Boston Scott is, when I look at him, he reminds me of their new Darren Sproles.
Yeah.
I mean, when you watch him play, he's short, a diminutive guy,
Yep.
a guy that's got a little shape to him, a guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield, a guy that runs the ball in between the tackles like a Darren Sproles could do. I look down the road for Doug to get creative with this guy in the game a little bit more. Especially with Miles nursing, a shoulder injury, and them not knowing the full status of how long. This is going to be one of those things. I saw him yesterday towards the end of the game. He got a run, and he could have got a first down and kept the clock running. He actually stepped out of bounds. That told me right there that shoulder, man, because running backs don't do that kind of stuff. When you're trying to get your numbers, you're trying to get your numbers.
Exactly.
But Boston affords them that opportunity to kind of experiment and try to find some different things to do, some key breakers, some things that they haven't done. Because I feel like the defense and the offense has gotten real vanilla. Yeah. And once you get 4 game films, you can kind of break down the team and figure out who and what they are. But if you're creating the first 15 every single week, and those first 15 are a part of your overall package, as a defender, it's easy for me to understand what you're running. You better have some wrinkles in there that make me kind of scratch my head. I thought it was this, and you did something else, and it's out of the same look. That's what I loved about this play, that I just broke down. It's really an I formation play that they ran out of split backs, and they hadn't shown that before. And and the Buffalo defenders was like standing there like, what is this? We never seen this before. Before you know it, boom, 65 yards out the gate.
Well, also, I think they need to create more mismatches. They in the past, I noticed that they would take advantage of mismatches. Actually have the two running backs in there, and they can have the running back mismatch on the linebacker. Or also have sometimes have a receiver in there and have him lined up like a tight end, but then he's on the mismatch with a linebacker or safety.
But they can create it out of that type of situation because when you get 12 personnel, that's just base personnel.
Correct.
A lot of teams will still keep regular people on the field when you go base personnel. Yeah. Now look at the matchups that you can create. Now you can take Miles Sanders, you can line him up outside, and the linebacker has to walk out with him. But you can even go nickel. I mean, because Buffalo was a nickel there. They actually had the nickel back on Zach Ertz when he was split out and detached. But you motion Miles Sanders out, that Will linebacker's got to go with him. If you motion him strong, the Mike linebacker's got to go with him, and now you really got a mismatch.
He stole that from Jim Johnson. It was Buffalo personnel. All it is, you're still playing regular calls, but you just take one of your defensive backs who's pretty strong, and you put him in as a linebacker. Right. And you do that because teams are coming out with a 3 wide receiver set. But when you come against regular, you can be a Achilles heel.
Well, it's the chess match. Yeah. It's the chess match to go on. If you want to go nickel against base personnel, then we're going to run it down your throat.
Exactly.
Okay, if you go regular people, now we got an opportunity to create some mismatches, especially if you got a good receiver running back and a good tight end that you can, cut X's split down and then line the tight end up outside and get him on a safety instead of a nickel cover guy. You got something to work with.
Something that's going to help the running game is having a guy that can take off the top. Right. And we have a question coming in, and be sure to keep sending your questions in and share the video as well, because for every share we will donate to the Big Brothers Big Sisters, so you want to make sure you do that and help us out, help them out. This question comes in from Patrick Jones Sr. Talking about Deshaun Jackson. If he's out, should the Eagles make a trade? Is there a guy, ET and guys, that you think the Eagles can go out and get or should go out and get?
Well, you got to look at teams that, number one, have speed guys that aren't doing anything. Miami doesn't have anything to offer you. So you got to look at the Jets.
We didn't see that coming.
Look at the Jets. Listen, we gave y'all enough with Jay Ajayi. Look at the Jets. You got Robbie Anderson, who's playing on a team that's not going anywhere. He's a Temple kid. He's local. Everybody knows him. He's playing in a system where he can't get the ball because Sam Darnold's seeing ghosts on the field. So perhaps you call them up, you make a trade. I mean, they've got a ton of assets that they're moving. They've got a corner out there. Tremaine Johnson. Is it Tremaine Johnson yet? They got Leonard Williams out there. They've got guys that can help plug in a lot of holes. Howie will give them a couple picks. There's some money, some cap issues to work out, but they could literally plug in a lot of the issues on this team that they need to fix by simply calling the Jets.
Howie calling his old boy Joe.
There it is.
Joe,
All
up?
makes sense all around.
Problem-
Gets out of Cat Purgatory.
Problem is, Joe is not giving up anything because Joe knows what we have and he knows the assets that we have. Listen, last year we only had 4 draft picks, man.
Right.
You can't get better year after year, mortgaging off. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think the Jalen Ramsey situation didn't happen. You can't continue to mortgage off your draft picks, especially your first, second, and third round picks. Those are the foundational picks of your team. And listen, and the Eagles haven't done well at that.
No, they
you know,
haven't.
I mean,
That's
over the last 6 years, you're talking about 38 draft picks, 19 of which are still on the team. Only 6 of them are starting, and 1 Pro Bowler. That's not getting it done
at all.
You know, so I mean, my thing is, I'm not a big proponent, and I think that the mistake was made when you put all your chips in Deshaun's basket. Okay, when he's healthy, he creates a different dynamic for your offense. You know, but there's an old saying we used to have. You know, he's hell when he's well, but he ain't never well.
I'm about to say, when's he healthy?
But and that's the issue. So we can talk about going out and bringing in another guy, but that guy's got to learn the defense. He's got to learn the offense. He's got to get some kind of rapport with Carson Wentz. You know what I'd rather like to see him do? Go get another defensive tackle.
Well, here's one. Leonard Williams just got traded to the Giants. Literally just got traded to him for a 3rd-round pick. So
to what you guys are saying, I don't know why they don't use some of the guys they had. They don't use Greg Ward. He catches everything. Why we still on Nelson with four catches for 7 yards?
Why is Matt Collins on the field at all?
At all.
No catches. How many games?
JJ, I'll take Whiteside.
No catches.
Well, that's a mistake. That's a mistake. When you watch him run, I mean, he's got no juice. Yeah, he can go up and get the ball, and he might have good hands. But even against a third string, even against a nickel corner, in the NFL, that guy can still play. And I get sick and tired of hearing, he's looked great in training camp. Everybody looked good in training
Superman.
camp. We used to have guys that come in, during OTAs and whatnot, and we didn't have necessarily OTAs, but the off-season training. And guys would be like, they look like world beaters, But as soon as you put the pads on them, they look like Tarzan but play like Jane. And my thing is, that's not indicative.
Nope.
It's not indicative when you got guys that are not even going to make your roster, and a JJ Arcega-Whiteside is giving them the business in training camp. Let me see what he's going to do against a first corner or a second corner. And if the guy came out of college and he only runs a 4.5, 4.5 ain't fast enough to play in the secondary or at wide receiver in the NFL. And we got too many of those guys on this team.
Our special guest in today's episode is the man, Hollis Thomas, who is gracious enough to join us on the show. What have you been up to, man? What's going on?
I've been up to the Green Legion now.
Green Legion?
Green Legion Radio. We're at Cheeky and Pizza in South Philly every Tuesday. Tomorrow we have Vinny Curry. We're there from 6 to 7, and we also do trips. We do tailgating here at Xfinity Live, and we do the away trips. I just came back from Buffalo. That plane got canceled though because of the wind. So, but I took a connecting flight, so that's why I was able to get here.
Is the tailgating in Buffalo that crazy?
It was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah. It was like we were. The stadium, it kind of reminds you of Green Bay. So it's like it's in the neighborhood. Yeah. So where our setup was, it was an actual house of just Buffalo Bills fans just yelling obscenities over to us, and we yell back. So it's but besides that, I'm actually going to Scotland. I forgot what I'm going for. I'm going to pillage. I'm going to Scotland to pillage. During the bye week, I'm going to go to Scotland to pillage. And actually, it's NFL Scotland. I'm going to go over there and do some fanfare type stuff. But it's mainly doing stuff with Green Legion and getting the word out.
That's awesome. Now, because we have you here, I want to see if we can get a story from you, maybe from your playing days, or something that kind of maybe sparks your memory as you're watching this Eagles team, maybe relating it back to your days with this team. But hey, just give us a quick story.
Well, I kind of got 2, but it's back with the same guys. William Fuller, he was my rookie year. He was here, so I ended up starting some of my rookie year. So the first story was we playing down in Dallas at Texas Stadium. It was the game we won where the interception in the end zone. So I was on the field because it was goal line defense. So as James Willis pitched the ball to Troy, I started getting ready to run, and I started getting ready to run. William Fuller says, "Stop, sit your big ass down, because guess who got to come back on the field when he scores?" Oh yeah. So then I look up at the jumbotron, and guess who's running right next to Troy? Ronnie Dixon. You remember Ronnie Dixon?
Yeah.
He truck driver. Ronnie Dixon's running right next to him. So for the next 2 series, he was on the sideline. So then later on that season, that was when Carolina Panthers had came in, and they were really good. And they had Kerry Collins as a quarterback, so he's throwing the ball away every time. So actually, Kerry Collins was my first sack. So I sack him, and we come back to the other. And Willie Fuller says, "Congratulations with your fat ass." He's like, the one time he holds the ball, and you get it.
Covered sack.
It wasn't even a cover sack. I just got back there, and he didn't throw the ball away. He thought he'd get away from me. Yeah. So it was a welcome to the NFL stuff. And I was telling Seth that actually when he was with Arizona, that was my first game starting during the season. I played a lot, and then like we went down to Arizona. That was my first game starting my rookie year. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I spent 10 years here and enjoyed myself.
Yeah, that was at Sun Devil Stadium.
Before,
he was on and down there.
Yeah. Before they played at University of Phoenix or whatever that thing is called now. All right, guys, time to get to our Kings Marquees to a victory against the Chicago Bears. I'll start this off, and to me, it's simple. Force the Bears to kick field goals because they ain't going to make them. No, I'm sorry, Bears fans. I'm sorry. No. I talked about this with the Buffalo Bills.
Right.
Limit the turnovers. Right? The Buffalo Bills are a team that relies on their defense to put their offense in great situations. The Eagles didn't turn the ball over a lot. They didn't lose the turnover margin against the Buffalo Bills, and that's why they were able to handle this game against the Bills offense that's not going to blow you away. Same thing with the Chicago Bears. They are led by their defense. If the Eagles can limit the turnovers against the Chicago Bears, don't put Mitchell Trubisky in beneficial spots, don't put him in a short field, the Eagles will have a chance because he's not going to beat you if he has to march 80 yards every single time to score. So do not turn the ball over, and you'll beat the Chicago Bears. E.T.?
The Kings' marquee to the game is that, listen, the Bears are not a team that runs the ball. They don't run the ball. I don't know why. They went and spent a high pick on Montgomery, and they don't run the ball. For some reason, they believe Mitchell Trubisky should throw 30, 40, 50 times. I don't know how Matt Nagy hasn't figured it out yet. He's not a good thrower. He's not a good quarterback, but he wants to continue to throw. So what you want to do is play to what they already do. Let Mitchell Trubisky throw the ball 50 times a game. The Eagles are good against the run. You heard it. They did it against Buffalo. They've done it pretty much all year. They've been great against the run. Force Trubisky to throw. And I will say the same thing I've said every week. Don't get beat by the receivers. Right. Allen Robinson is a problem.
Yes.
He is a big problem. And you look at Tyler Gabriel. You look at Trey Burton, former Eagle. Listen, you guard those guys with your life, you have a shot. That's my case.
Well, it's piggyback off what he's saying. Make Mitchell Trubisky beat you. I think Mitchell Trubisky stinks. He will throw you the ball. I don't know what they went up and got him for. It's like they try to throw the ball so many times with this kid. And you got your defense out there, they're fighting tooth and nail. And then, like yesterday's game, I don't know if you guys got to see any of it, had a chance to win. He's standing back there holding onto the ball with time running out, and I almost get sacked. So he runs the ball, and so the coach not having confidence in him, just down the ball and took a time out and tried for the field goal. Now, obviously, they missed the field goal. It's like, but when your coach doesn't have any confidence in you, you're on the 20-yard line. Right. You're on the 20-yard line with like a minute or so left. Your coach doesn't have any confidence in you to go for the jugular vein. It's like so, and I think Matt Nagy is probably going to head up to here with him. And the reason he likes to pass so much is he's an Andy Reid disciple.
No doubt about it.
So it's like when you look at everybody who comes from under him, they are pass happy. And I don't know why he's pass happy. He's a former offensive lineman. I don't know why. So I don't know why he's pass happy. But yeah, there's too much of that. But we just got to stop the run and make Mitchell Trubisky beat us.
Seth?
You know, my King's mark key to the game, I've got 2 of them for each side of the football. To echo a lot of what you guys said, the Eagles need to go in and do exactly what they've been doing, is control the run. If they can control the run and take away play action pass and force Mitchell Trubisky to beat you, then they're going to win this football game. Because you want that ball in his hands. He's got enough weapons around him to hurt you if he has time. But the Eagles have got to figure out a way to shut down the run. And then it's not just enough to shut down the run. Now you got to make him uncomfortable in the pocket.
Right.
We can't just rush 4 all day long if they're gonna keep 6 and 7 people in protection. We're just not gonna get there. You got to pick your spots where you bring the pressure, move him off his spot, make sure you keep him contained because he can run and he can make some things happen out of the pocket. On the defensive side of the ball, for the offense, hey, listen, they can get after the pass. They haven't played as good as they played defensively over the weeks, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to come in frothing at the mouth, believing that Doug Peterson is going to throw the ball 40, 50 times with Carson Wentz. And Carson has a tendency to hold on to the ball too. Defensive players watch film, they see that, they get excited about that. You know, my suggestion is, hey, you got to get the ball out of Carson's hands when you're going to throw it, and you got to commit again to running the football. Listen, we ran the ball 41 times yesterday, and we only put it up 24 times. There's nothing wrong with that formula. Be okay with that. You know, the objection here is to win the football game. And it doesn't matter how you win it, because you're certainly going to have those games where he's going to have to put it up 40 times in order for you to win. But if you can control the line of scrimmage by running the football like we've done against the Green Bay Packers and against in yesterday's win against the Buffalo Bills, then why not win that way until Carson has to take the offense and put it on his shoulders by throwing the ball?
You know, it also helps. It helps your defense not be tired. Because when you go throw 3 passes and you come out the game, and we got to go back out there, we're going to give up something eventually. Because both teams are paid to play. So it's like eventually, it's like you can only be so strong for so long. So eventually you're going to give up the plays, but running the ball also makes the clock keep going, and it gives your defense a chance to rest and come back out fresh.
And you minimize possessions.
Exactly.
Too. And you don't want to keep giving offensive shots at you. If you can minimize the possessions in the game, I always say if you can keep a mediocre offense right around 8 to 10 possessions a game, you got a real shot at winning. But when you start giving them 10 or more, you got problems on your hand. If you're playing against a great offense, a great quarterback like Tom Brady, Drew Brees, you better not give them 10 or 12 possessions in the game.
Yep.
Not even.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we get out of here, we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you continue to share this show as it goes towards the big brothers and big sisters who have a great event tonight. If you can get out to the Conchi Brewery. From all of us here, thank you so much for watching. Hit 'em high at My New Philly, where something is always new and everything is always Philly.
And the Dolphins suck.